for a guy who can't stand himself, Leatherhead sure puts up a monster fight.
That's because he believes he is a monster, Raphael.
Ain't scared of nothing down here.
Ain't scared of nothing, and turtles ain't scared of Hades, which is pretty crazy because that's what this game boils down to. Hades done up in a ooze for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach with SwitchForce. I thought I would run you through a run of TMNT, the latest roguelike game that is trying to be Hades, but do it with a turtle power styling, with a turtle power, I guess, glaze. Does it do it good enough? Does it do it to make it worth a buy? Or is this something that you can just skip? That's what we're going to figure out today as we play through a run. I've also got some extra boss battle footage to show you as we move through this video here. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I gotta say, I have been impressed by this game very much so. I was expecting something that controlled mediocrely. I was expecting something that, you know, like, felt like it was very much a game made to popularize the turtles and not much else. Like, you know, like the goal here was going to be to, you know, get people excited about the turtles brand, and they're like, a roguelite would be popular in 2024. Yeah, it's much more than that though. This reminds me of my experience with Star Wars Hunters, where I'm like, this game should not be as fun as it is, but the difference here, I'll tell you, is that TMNT Splintered Fates is a $30 game. That is quite a bit if we're going to be honest here. And it's important to note that Hades is $25 on Switch and goes on sale often. Now, I don't want to dissuade you from this game before we actually really get into it, because I think TMNT Splintered Fates does a lot well, and my personal nostalgia and love for the Turtles, like, I get a huge kick out of this because I think they're leaning heavily into the branding and the identity of TMNT in a way that serves the game really, really well. So I'll explain that more as we go and play through this run. Basically, you pick one of the 4 turtles. You've got your normal attack, you've got a tool, and you've got a special attack. That is kind of what you're rolling with here. So my normal attack is just going to be these slashes. I've got the ability to dash. I've got 2 dashes because I've already upgraded my turtle squad a bit. I have a tool which for Raphael is going to be sending out these turtle lines, as they're called, and bringing small enemies towards me and myself towards bigger enemies and bosses. I also have this sort of Berserker Barrage attack that functions as my special, and that is what I'm going to have to take me through the different rooms runs. And it functions like you'd expect a mini-boss, little rooms, a mini boss, and then a major boss. And then after each room, you get options of what to pick. And I think this is one of the ways that it gets pretty fun, is it's like menu within menu of what to pick. Do I want scrap that's going to allow me to buy more things at the shop? Do I want these temporary boosts that give me a few dragon coins? As you see that +8 there, that's the currency that I'll use as sort of the meta progression in between runs to up my overall profile. And then turtle powers, which are going to be sort of run-long things that can most improve my character. And frankly, I found the turtle powers to be, as you'd expect from the name, the coolest thing to do. I like this. Let's get another extended assault on the dash there. My biggest downfall of the game, like the thing I like least, I will say, is I think the way you go from room to room is pretty lame. It's just like a very simplistic screen where it's like, press the button in this direction. As you saw there, it's like green arrows this way. You can go to the next screen now. And I don't know, to me that feels a little lame. But otherwise, like, this is a very polished game. This controls very well. And I've seen some people say that it doesn't perform good on Switch. I have not run into that. For me, I'm playing this docked, and I think it's pretty great. Maybe portably, you run into a little bit more frame choppiness. But I gotta say, thus far, I have felt like this is a very good Switch port. Now, where did they port this game from? It was a mobile title, and please try not to think about that while you play, because I feel like we're in a different era of mobile, and sometimes I don't even believe it or accept it. My idea of mobile is like, let's play, and these aren't bad games, but like, let's play Threes, let's play Tilt to Live, let's play that Doom RPG that came out at the very beginning of iPhone gaming. But mobile games now are much more. You know, Star Wars Hunters was a mobile game that fares very well on Switch. We're getting that Fantasia RPG coming to Switch. That's kind of a big deal. And this is another title that is actually quite great. So I don't think that you should poo-poo it because it's a mobile title. I would ignore that almost completely because it's also part of the Apple Arcade subscription, so that's kind of different here. I am doing a shopping spree right now. You can see I've got multiple currencies. One is scrap, which you'll use during the run, and one is dragon coins, which is sort of your post-run. I don't really like to invest in anything that lasts you only a few rooms. To me, that seems like a bizarre waste of your times and your talents. But maybe it does come into play later on in your runs. I think the bosses are very cool because similar to Hades, there's quite a bit of storyline here. Now, I will say that I've already faced Leatherhead as my first boss, but this gives us a chance to kind of listen in.
What you've stolen against me, that is not acceptable.
What, this manhole cover?
Disgusting thing.
I love that the game is fully voiced. Whether they're like the way you expect the turtles to sound or not, you know, that's going to be based on what era of turtles you are familiar with. But I think it's great that the whole game is voiced, and it shows that they did not just like cheap out, right? Like this was not a game made to earn a quick buck. I mean, maybe they still did it to earn a quick buck, and maybe they got a good deal from Apple, but it does very much feel like this was built to be a pretty darn solid game, and it's going to have all those sort of enemy patterns and boss patterns and telegraphs that you've come to know from many different roguelites. I think it feels the most Hades-esque because you come back to a base, there's a lot of lore and dialogue in there, and you are trying to like reach this ultimate sort of point where you save Master Splinter, which is going to be sort of the end game here, is rescuing Father, which, you know, he's a good guy to rescue. You can see I pull towards the boss with my chains there as opposed to pulling basic enemies towards me. It very much is a game that moves quickly, and I think one thing I got to give it big credit for is the ability to dash and then come back in for attacks feels good. Like in a game like this, you need the core gameplay, the core mechanics to feel fantastic, and they do here. Like they feel really good. Movement is crispy, attacks are crispy, everything functions right. I feel like the hitboxes and the dash gives you enough frames of invincibility like I would expect and want. I mean, I don't have much to say poorly about the game, except that it's all been done before. Thus far, besides the turtle coding, I don't really see much that distinguishes this game from anything else in the field. And I will say that I don't feel like ultimately it is as polished as Hades. It is as great as Hades, even though it's very well made and it's not poor in any way. I think ultimately if I was going to recommend one, especially given that Hades is currently cheaper, I would still pick Hades, as it seems like Hades, like the big thing I guess is that Hades UI is just masterfully made. I mean, I beat this guy.
Let's go.
But this one feels more like a mobile game interface. There aren't any microtransactions, there aren't anything of that sort, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not like it's littered with mobile game failings. It really has none of that. But the interface-wise, like they clearly ported that part straight from the mobile version. And so it feels like it was made for mobile, but a different era of mobile. Nonetheless, the UI to me is the lowest point of the game. And I think that, you know, I've yet to see a ton of weapon variety. You do have the 4 different turtles, which is very nice, and like they play into the lore and the characters and just the world very well. Like I said, like here we are choosing a turtle power, and at this point I can get, you know, Leonardo's inspiration, Donatello's inspiration. Those are the 3 that I have as it randomly rolls here. An extra special charge, that sounds like a pretty good move, so let's roll with that. But other than that, and picking your turtle, you're kind of stuck with the loadout you have, at least based on what I've seen. I can swap out the tools and the special attacks, I believe, but I don't think I can swap out the base weapons. Now, I know for many, one of the most fun things to experiment with and do in Hades and similar roguelites is like the different weapons for the run. So I do wonder if that is going to sort of become stale more quickly than most roguelites would. But on the contrary, on the other hand, the thing that you have here that sort of expands this beyond maybe the traditional roguelite is that you do have the ability to play this cooperatively. Now, I think that would be a very fun way to play the game, because Turtles games have traditionally been cooperative fun, like couch co-op type affairs. But I also think that a game like this, like if you're okay, you can play it with friends for like the fun and just like having like a good kickback, like chat and, you know, deal some damage, see some new Turtles lore and maybe some familiar characters that you like. But if you want to like experience the challenge of the game, then I think you absolutely are going to want to play this with a solo mentality. Now, I'm going to also tell you that I think these characters right here, these enemies with the beams, are the strongest like mini regular enemies in the game by a long shot. At least based on what I've seen. And I'm not really sure why they are so strong when they're just a basic Robodog. I don't know why they're so intense. The enemy variety thus far has not been that high, but I am also in the early stages of the game. So much of this game's like long-term success. It makes a great first impression. I think the fact that it has like notable Turtles lore and inclusions there. They try to bring in a bunch of characters. The fact that it's voiced really, I think, ups the ante there and makes you want to pay attention, want to listen, want to see, oh hey, like, you know, Slash is here, oh hey, you know, Leatherhead is here, and to really like get more invested in the actual meat and potatoes of this game because you know and love the Turtles and you do a great job of voicing the characters and bringing in like a wide variety of very popular Turtles characters as well as like some less popular Turtles characters, kind of diving deep into the lore as well as heavy into the main franchise. Pretty darn cool. But does this game have the ability to hold up over the long term? That's going to depend on how much variety they put in here, and that's something that we're not going to be able to really see without playing a ton of this game. So, you know, if you're willing to take that risk, I see go for it. I would hope that this game does have some pretty good longevity, especially based on the positive reviews I've seen in Apple Arcade, especially based on the positive vibes that have come out of the reviews, but I do not know for sure. This is a very tough mini-boss here because it does have this like crackle ability, which is very nasty and which I frankly do not like. I got that kill with barely any health, which was a thrilling moment, and I do love being the Turtles. Like, I cannot lie there. I do love being the Turtles. There's all of these elemental abilities that you can upgrade the Turtles in ways that you wouldn't traditionally expect them to be upgraded in. I mean, it's pretty traditional for a roguelite, like, oh, you know, you can apply stacks of water damage. This allows you to do more damage to bosses. This allows you to recover health as you attack. This allows you to do more damage when you're at low health. But it feels good in a Turtles way, I think, just because A, it controls very well, like that's sort of what you have to nail if you're going to make a successful roguelite, but then B, I have a nostalgia for the Turtles. So to me, it feels really cool. There's ways to replace, as you can see here, your tools. So I have my turtle line, which throws a turtle line, but I can throw 8 shuriken. Each shuriken deals 30. That's pretty nifty there. It's going to cost me, though, let's see. It's going to cost me 200 scrap, but I have 600 scrap. We can restore life. I'm going to, let's replace this just for fun here in this run here. I don't like the temporary stuff. I feel like that's a completely wasted part of the game, but maybe it is a way to make it more accessible and to allow for people to, you know, progress further if they really don't stand much of a chance. Now, I will also tell you that it seems like thus far, I have faced the same order of levels, right? So it's like, okay, I've been in the sewers, and now I'm sort of in the city streets here, and that is going to create a bit of an annoyance. I'm wondering if later on there is a way to skip, or a way to sort of, you know, give a better amount of variety within the levels, within the diversity of your setup for the run. You know, it's not going to be completely random, but I do feel like it should be not the same over and over again. And like I said, many of this game's drawbacks do lead to the same question, which is how much variety can they produce when we know Hades has quite a bit of great variety. So I hate comparing it to the same game over and over again. I feel like maybe that doesn't do it justice, or maybe feels like I'm kind of like shortchanging and not giving it a fair shake, but I do think it's an obvious comparison that needs to be made, especially because Hades is cheaper. Now, if this was a $10 game, I would say, dude, like, this is such a must-buy on Switch. If this was a $15 game, I think I'd feel similarly. The fact that this is a $30 title, when, as I mentioned, you can have Hades for less than that, and often on sale, it does feel a little bad. hopefully this does come down in price, and it might be a case where you're like, you know what, this game seems super cool, I am a Turtles fan, but I'm going to actually wait until the first sale for this game, and then from that point, you know, I'll feel a lot better about picking up Splintered Fate, because I think, you know, that might end up being the case. So I'm back to Karai here, which is, again, the boss that I faced after Leatherhead last time. It's a cool set piece, and in one way, like, the order of the boss does allow them to place these set pieces here and kind of partake in more plot development, but going boss to boss to boss, like, over and over again, I do think that's a little bit of a lame choice, because you're going to be repeating this. Now, there is like follow-up dialogue as you're seeing here. Last time he failed miserably, so it's got some continuity here, and maybe like in the long term that's actually going to be really cool. Like maybe I'll learn to really appreciate it. Maybe I'm just not used to a roguelite that does have more sort of, what's the word, like continuity. I'm used to roguelites being so random, but like perhaps ooh, that's going to be my Splinters revive there, but perhaps like this actually is going to be pretty cool, because you know you do have that continuity of storyline that you're not going to face and not going to experience in the typical roguelite. So maybe this is like one of those things that's like actually going to be very cool, and we'll just need to see in full practice. Right now though, it just strikes me as a little weird because I'm not used to roguelites having continuity, but you know, depending on who you are, and again, if you like the Turtles sort of lore, universe, world, I think you're going to find this to be much more appealing than if you have no love for the Turtles. This is a very tough boss here. She deals significant damage, but we are also significantly damaging her. I just got to stay alive here. And, gosh, these things are very hard. Oh, gosh, like, those are very hard to even cut through. Shoot, I missed with that turtle barrage there. Okay, we got her very, very close, but... Okay, so you got to get far away when she does that. It's very painful. No! Oh my gosh, I almost defeated Karai there, but I think that's going to be a good chance for us to look at the upgrade package here. It does seem like in your base you'll be unlocking much more as you progress. There's artifacts to equip. There are obviously dragon coins to spend, sort of your main skills. And different characters drop in, so you've got, you know, April here and all of the Turtles. I'll show you the upgrades. This is obviously going to evolve into something at some point. We do have dragon upgrades that can be spent here. Splinters Revive. This gives you 2 Splinters Revive, which seems like, you know, a fantastic way, but I probably would honestly, you know, move through many of the other techniques. There's things you can acquire, like these different gems. So some of the upgrades require gems that I haven't even seen yet. Or different upgrade, like, crafting materials effectively. But it does seem like it's going to be, you know, kind of a typical progression through all of the different things to level up. And they're mostly just stat upgrades there. We can go to this artifact table, and it looks like we have to defeat the boss in these different sections. You'll see defeat the boss in the docks, defeat the boss in the streets, defeat the boss on the rooftops, defeat the boss in the docks twice. Have not beat that yet. And perhaps there's not as many layers or levels as we thought, because it's just showing me rooftops and docks. So I do hope that there's more bosses. I'm going to jump us into one more run here, just so I can see if it does start us off in the same place. And if it does, I'm going to say that variety is sort of the issue with the game, and the one element that's keeping it from being like a super recommendable, super crazy experience for me. But I still think it's fun. Yeah, I just would pick this up on a sale, because it does seem like the levels are not going to be as varied as we'd like, and not going to have maybe as much content as we like. If there's more to unlock as you progress, great, that's awesome. But I gotta evaluate what I see here, which is that you are running through the sewers and running to the docks right off the bat, and maybe there's more to unlock, maybe there's more bosses. I fully expect there to be, but the starting ensemble is going to be pretty repetitive. And like I said, they're going for a more linear, story-driven feel, so maybe that works out for you, but for me, I do feel like maybe that would turn me off the game, especially knowing that I could have paid less for Hades, and I think that direct comparison is fair here, because the games are clearly This game is clearly going to, take from Hades a formula that worked really well. But let me know what you think about TMNT Splintered Fate. I still think this is a very fun game. I'd probably pick it up on a sale as of right now. Let me know your take in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.